2 p.m. on the 3rd of June, 2026. And I was sitting here thinking, hopefully the mic is, everything's proper. Hopefully, this is recorded as is, I guess, right? Welcome to 21st century, welcome to technology. So, let's start off with this as 2026 Christianity is now being shown, and it shall know the truth. Like part 1-ish. This truth stems from a lost in translation, a literal in one ear and out the other, and the subsequent 2,000 plus years now of misunderstanding of Christianity. Our English defined terms of etymology is I think it was like the study or science of the vernacular, of the written and the phonetic language, and of all lingua in Latin. So, lingua gets us the closest to a time in BCE, before the Common Era, before you see even before even as you see today, the erasure of meaning of nations. And so as I've grown up, there's a lot I could discuss. My early childhood, my teenage years, my 20s, now into my 30s. I would say it probably started in my teens, I think. There came a time, I think I was about 11 years old, and my level of intelligence, acumen, and wisdom and aptitude were bounding forward, cascading forward. Not out of control, but just ascending. And during that time, when I was about 11 years old, I was absorbing a lot of information. I was going to a Baptist church with my mother. We're Protestant Christians, following the faith. At the same time, learning about sociology and biology and physics and the sciences. And then there's like the rules. The rules would basically just be like physics. Because I was sitting there, when I was 11 years old, and it was like, not profound or befuddled or kerfuffled or misled, but just defining our human existence and world. So it was like, if we are humans, I was like, what is all this? And most people will confide in themselves their truth. They'll find their spiritual path, their religious path, or their sacrament, or they'll be lost. I was 11 years old and thinking, okay, these brilliant scientists have found rules of our world. In essence, it's physics. Physics is the language of the universe, but how I've coined the term physics is the language of the universe would probably be like a few years ago, kind of a rise during the pandemic. Because it was I think back to how our Catholic priests and Christian scholars were mapping out healing, and they were mapping out, like for example, the Spanish Empire. They did a lot of bad. They did a lot of evil, corrupt stuff. Mainly because you had the classes, not what you think. Think of them as human classes. So like the Spanish Empire had like a warrior class. Their entire way of life was to build and prosper and create soldiers, warriors of the Catholic faith. And they did a lot of evil, falling away from the faith. And they invaded, committed genocide, and enslaved tens and tens of millions of humans. And of the Catholic priests, they reveled in that power. And among their teachings, in their Latin scripture, they tried to define like plant life and animal life and human life. Like I said, they've done a lot of evil. But in their definitions, there is some small bits of scientific theory that they were just trying to basically just think of it as like the nomenclature, the catalog of biological life they ran into. I will not praise Catholics. I think of them as being lost. I would say that it wasn't recently until this new Pope, this new Catholic leader, one of the three branches of Christianity, finally gave his sermon kind of condemning the enslavement of people. He tried to give his thoughts on, as Pope Leo gave his thoughts on a small series of words, like a verbal apology for all of the harm, genocide, invasion of Catholic rulers, Catholic kings, Catholic soldiers, and all the evil they did. But I'll ultimately say that is not enough. I posted this before on social media, a very short excerpt. Like I said, the three branches of Christianity. There is Catholicism, Protestantism, and the Orthodoxy. And there's about 1.3 billion Roman Catholic followers, as you'll see here. The collection of data is important. There's about 800 to 900 million Protestant followers of Protestantism. Sorry about that. I just have to stretch. It's kind of. I need to exercise and freshen up and get something to eat. I haven't eaten in maybe 12 hours, I think. A little bit of fasting. Everybody has to break their fast when they wake up to eat breakfast or whatever or whatnot. And then to get back to my point, and there's the Orthodoxy, about 280 million followers. So again, because there are three co-equal branches of Christianity, They are a segment of Christianity. They are one of the three pillars of Christianity. Pope Leo tried to give a verbal apology for all the evil that has been done by Catholic soldiers and Catholic kings and queens, which is, to say it upon itself, not good enough. He knows it. The Pope, the Pontifex, knows it. I gave people are probably wondering, who is this guy? Who's this person? I am no sage. Maybe I am. S-A-G-E. But I have my own spiritual path I need to take. No one can walk in my shoes except for me. I give my, if Catholic people listening to this feel lost, they're probably keeping up to date with what the Pope is saying. Maybe they're not. He is the Pontifex. He is the leader of Catholicism, of the Catholic Church. But ultimately, I already know this will ring true to some of the Catholic followers that what the Pope tried to do is not good enough, does not suffice, does not rise to the occasion. It is inherent that it would take each of the Catholic followers and their descendants to expend. I have to go back to my social media post. Things like, I forget what I put. I do apologize. It was like 1,700 years or 2,000 years or something like that. Don't quote me on it. I have to go look at it again. But it would take them like 1,600 years or 1,700 years, 2,000 years or something like that to put forth concrete efforts to redeem themselves for all of the harm that their Catholic soldiers, kings, and queens have inflicted upon the world. I'm sorry, I'm getting off my main point I was getting at. But it's ultimately, it's important that I bring this up. So this video will be this thing that happened a few hours ago. There's an individual with like 1 million plus followers, and they kept propagating a lie. And it's a harmful lie, because whenever you see somebody say something about Christianity that does not exist, it continues to do harm upon all of Christianity, and it leads people astray and keeps them lost. They brought up some sort of fake text that is defined by the Orthodoxy, by Protestantism, by Catholicism, as what we call like fake text. It's essentially like a follower of a follower, probably about 60 years or decades and decades later, after the martyrdom of St. Paul, in a language during the Roman Empire to propagate a lie. This is why we have 3 different sets, the 3 pillars of Christianity. Catholicism, right, follows their teachings. Protestantism and Protestants like myself, we follow a different set of teachings. And Orthodoxy, I'm probably speaking to the choir, but they follow their own doctrine and sermons and teachings and all that. But the point is, I'll start off with what I typed out. Because the individual wants to, this person, like I said, this post they had on social media, they have like I think they have 1 million followers plus. I don't know, they might have 4 million followers. I think they have like 1 million plus followers, but just, I then see people that are lost, that are astray, continuing to propagate the false texts or false ideas of Christianity. And so I'll start off with the top. This is, I'll read what I typed. The problem is the Ephesians is debated on who and when it was created, since it was written in Aramaic. And Aramaic is the language of Christ and of the apostles. The problem is a debate is quite easy to solve. The Ephesians were written in Kion Greek. Kion is the language, and the written, phonetic, and vernacular, and the spoken Greek or Greece, Greek of people, and Greece is their nation. But you'll also learn that there were people miss history, they don't understand history, and what is defined is the successive warring states and battle states of the Greek and Roman Empire. And there were different mercenary clans and warrior cities and soldier cities and soldier states that fought for power. While the language, I'll continue, while the language of native lingua for Jesus Christ and the apostles, Cephas, was Aramaic. And I will end the debate. The Ephesians was written by someone approximately over 60 years later, after St. Peter was martyrdom, and also St. Paul. My apologies, I should have included St. Paul. Was martyrdom by the ancient Greek-Roman Empire. The key point I'll get at is that the St. Peter, known today, is, quote, "You are Simon, the son of John. You shall be called Cephas." This is from Christ. To continue, this is now the English understanding of that excerpt. The Aramaic lingua is Kepha, or Kephas. It means rock, or stone, or something else entirely. And I'll get to that in a second. Well, I get to that later on. In Greek, it's Petros. In English, it's Peter, aka the Apostle Peter. Also known, and now known in English, as St. Peter, after his martyrdom by Greco-Roman soldiers. Continued, end quote, from the book of John 1:42. Aramaic is the language of Jesus and Shaliakapath, St. Petros. Our English translation is in one ear and out the other. It is a translation from Palestinian Adamic to Eastern Roman Greek Achaeon, then migrated to Western Latin Greco-Roman and Petros, and then continued northwest into England, translated English as Peter. Scroll down. Jesus and Cephas, aka Cephas, is Petros, or St. Peter. But even the name in Aramaic, the spoken and written language of Jesus and Cephas, aka St. Peter, had been used for 600 years before the Common Era. I had to jump to this point. The 6th century BCE refers to a time period from 600 BCE to 501 BCE that is defined as the 6th century BCE because the time of before the Common Era system counts backward toward zero, an event happening in the 6th century, meaning it roughly occurs 2,500 to 2,600 years ago as of today's date. So to explain the math to people to understand, here's another image that shows when if the Aramaic, well, we'll continue basically the Persian Empire. Cyrus the Great founded the Achaemenid Persian Empire in 550 BCE. This is 2,500 years ago. BCE is 500 years from zero. We're now into the 21st century. So BC is defined as before Christ. BC is defined as before the Common Era. Hit zero. BP before the present, after, and Latin, which was the western half of the Roman Catholic Empire. Anno Domini. He defined it as this phase past, and then we turn this into the Common Era, CE, defined now. So you'll see Gregorian calendar define everything now as like it's the year 2026. It's like CE. So Aramaic language. In Aramaic, the most common word for stone or rock is Kepha, Kepha, or in English, Kefa, Kefa, when pronounced. When it comes to jewels or precious gems, Aramaic primarily refers or relies on terms for good stones. What would be a good stone? So there's this even more lost in translation. People would then call that a pearl or ornament. So they would say kafa in reference to, oh, this is a good stone. Oh, they would use the word in Aramaic, kafa, to define pearl or beauty, or the jewel of one's family, an ornament. So it has this, how to describe to people, it's like trying to translate the Japanese kanji or the pinyin from its visual language, right? It's much more esoteric, into this defined English term for English speakers to understand. So the stone or the rock, Kefa, which is almost like an endearing nickname. But the exact famous, I'm going to say it again, the exact famous Aramaic word Jesus used when renaming Simon to Peter was Kephas in John 1:42. The debate from the Ephesion is that it's Kion. It is the eastern half of the Greco-Roman Empire. The debate is, did Jesus refer to Cephas as the stone or the jewel in his eyes when he anointed him? Did he call him the anointed rock or, quote, the good stone to build the foundation of the first church of Christianity? Or was it that Jesus anointed him as the holy jewel of Christianity? Cephas can mean good stone, pearl, or ornament. Ornament means a family jewel. Cephas in Aramaic. And the second translation from Aramaic to English is kepe. I believe it's still kefe. Because again, jewel or precious stone, kepe, tapta. And they're saying it means good stone. But like I said, go back to kefa in Aramaic. Can rely onto this, that someone is precious, that someone is the jewel of their family. They are the rock of their family. This will resonate more with people when you have like this a strong mother figure, or strong matriarch, or a strong father figure in the family. They become like a precious stone, a foundation, this rock to their family. So what Jesus was referencing to St. Peter, remember St. Peter is the lost in translation name. St. Kepha. So I'll bring everybody full circle. Everyone is lost because they're lost in translation. The foundation is Afroasiatic language. It's Adamic, Amharic, and Arabic. Then Jesus, aka in English Christ, is Palestinian Jesus, and we'll get to this in a second, and Palestinian Kephas, or Kepha, are the foundational holy leaders of Christianity. The Jesus you know today was called Isho in Adamic, and not Yeshua in Hebrew, because Ishu, our holy leader, is not Jewish. He was always Palestinian. And for the 2.3 billion followers of our holy leader, it is Isho. In Kion Greek, Kion of the language, a people of Greece that are of Greek race, say Isos. In Latin, or the western half of the Greco-Roman Empire, referred to him as Isos, which then translates into the northern west corner of England, his name is Jesus. For all of Christian sisters and brothers, the Holy Father is Isho, always has been. He was a Palestinian that was kidnapped by a Greco-Roman Empire to stop the spread of Christianity, because the 2.3 billion children of Christian have been lost in translation. To the Holy Father Isho and Saint Cephas, I am sorry they have been lost, the descendants and children of Christianity. They did not know Kaddish Isho, Kaddish Kepha, and may they be forgiven. They are lost, and now they shall know, and the truth shall set you free. So we went to the second half. People are kind of lost. Arabic, Amharic is Semitic. Let's speed everybody up. Arabic, Amharic are classified as Semitic languages. They belong to the broader Afroasiatic language family or lingua. Guess why it's called Afroasiatic? Guess why? It has Afro-Asiatic. There's even more history that people don't understand or know because of the Roman Catholics tried to destroy the Abbasids and the Abyssinian Empire. Arabic is considered Central Semitic, one of the most widely spoken Semitic languages in the world, primarily used in Northern Africa. The script is written in Arabic, aka Abjad. The second is Aramaic, the language of Jesus Christ, also our Holy Father Isha, and of Saint Peter, aka Kaddish Kefa. This is the Northwest Semitic language. Status: an ancient language with a history spanning over 3,000 years. Prior to the Persian Empire, prior to the Catholic Empire, prior to anybody else. So since Aramaic spans over 3,000 years, it is before the descendants of the Greco-Roman Empire keep trying to praise, and it's before what the Persian Empire was once glorious, before it fell. It is the language that Jesus spoke, aka is the language of our Holy Father Isha. And today it survives in various Neo-Aramaic dialects. It's basically Aramaic. And people say it's written in Syriac, but correction, Syriac is something else. And there's Amharic. It's the Southern Semitic language. Now, Ethio doesn't exist. This doesn't exist. The official working language of the 21st century Ethiopia. Do you know what Ethiopia was called before Ethiopia? It was called Abyssinia. It was a cat. The Abyssinian cat breed. Ethiopia doesn't exist. The United Kingdom doesn't exist. The AI will try and find itself, and then the AI will try to correct itself, and the AI will try and propagate false information. So they'll do the whole, well, the name suggests otherwise. The Abyssinian cat is like the signature of Abyssinia. And thank goodness that it is. Remember, Ethiopia doesn't exist. The cat is imported from Abyssinia. Many modern Western Abyssinian, the kingdom. Ethiopia doesn't exist. The Abyssinian Empire was originally formed 3,270 years ago, about 200 years earlier than the Aramaic language that Jesus Christ speaks today, aka our Holy Father, Isha. There was a lineage of the Abyssinian Empire. Right. They had an unbroken lineage from the biblical King Solomon and Queen Sheba. So an Abyssinian Empire that was 200 years before the creation of the Aramaic language. That people don't understand, like the timelines. This is BCE. And they were they're Muslim or Islamic faith. There's a whole story, basically, because, well, there's a whole thing with the fall of Abyssinia and all that. It's the fact that those Catholic soldiers and Catholic followers, and there was this point in time in the Abyssinian Empire, they had a massive caliphate. And over time, as they fought wars, one of the lineages, it was a daughter, like a princess, converted from her Islamic faith to Catholicism. And that kind of kickstarted a whole bunch of other wars, like civil wars, and eventually broke apart this massive caliphate. And now you see modern day Ethiopia have Catholic followers and Protestant followers and even other religions. Still Muslim faith, Islamic faith are still scattered around, but you'll see successive civil wars break apart Ethiopia. And this is because of language. The Semitic languages are a branch of Asiatic language that includes Arabic, Amharic, Tigrinya. Guess where Tigrinya comes from? If it's a Semitic language that's over 2,000 years old or 3,000 years old, it comes from the Tigray River in the Aramaic. You can reject some of these other ones, like Hebrew is made up. Hebrew doesn't exist with all the events. The original version of the biblical text is all in Aramaic. And then it was translated into a Persian Syrian text due to the Persian Empire for like centuries and centuries of warfare. But people need to understand that the prophet Issa is the Holy Father Isha, who is a Palestinian, now known in Keon as Isos, that is now known in Latin as Peter, that is now known, well, Saint Peter in Isis, and Iosis and Jesus into English. So there's our prophet that was defined. Oh, I guess I'll get to that in a second. But understand that in the Quran, Jesus is a prophet written as the son of Mary, as Isa, which is Aramaic for the Holy Father Isha. And Isha is the translation, like I said, from the Eastern Greco-Roman Empire as Iosis, which then got translated into Jesus in English. But people don't understand that Jesus, as a prophet, aka the Holy Father Isha, only did so much. He anointed Cephas, aka Saint Peter, that you know today in the 21st century. People are about to celebrate the martyrdom of Saint Peter and Saint Paul, but his name, or is Kadish Kefa. It means the holy, precious, good stone. He is the rock to the family of Christianity. People know of Saint Peter as the right hand of Jesus Christ because he built and formed the first church to spread the gospel. But over time, it's lost in translation. This is why 2.3 billion Christian followers feel dejected or ejected or kind of on the outside. They've committed themselves to the faith, but since they're lost in translation 2,000 years later, their spiritual energy is kind of hovering outside. And then people discern that feeling as like a yearning feeling to be loved by the Holy Father. But they're just lost in translation. Kind of all their holy energy, all their spiritual energy is kind of just outside of wanting to be more loved by Jesus Christ, aka the Holy Father Isha, and or to receive the blessings from like the apostles like Kadish Kefa, which is translated as Saint Peter. So imagine this. You present your spiritual energy and you're like trying to get the message out to Saint Peter. And Saint Peter is kneeling and praying inside the church, and you're trying to get a message to him, but you're saying the wrong name. So imagine, I'll dumb it down. Imagine I'm like in a coffee shop and someone's calling out the wrong name. I'm not going to respond. So I'll think they're talking to somebody else. There's some more definitions of like Semitic languages and all that. Oh, Hebrew doesn't exist with all the offense. It doesn't exist. people are wondering why Hebrew doesn't exist. All of the texts you see now are a translation of a made-up language of Hebrew that was created after the formation of Zionism. Like the Dead Sea Scrolls were, think of it as like fake news created in the middle of the 1950s after the formation of their violent Jewish supremacist ideology. Again, the AI will try and present with you the wrong information. Understand that words matter. It says famous ancient books, but not foundational like the rock, or like the crown jewel or precious stone for the family of Christianity. It's Kion, or the fictitious language of Hebrew. It doesn't exist. The foundational religious texts were and all are written in Aramaic. So I'll say it again. The biblical foundational religious and historical texts are and all written in Aramaic. This is 600 years BCE. Even this idea is entirely written in Aramaic. So 600 years during the Persian Empire. Right? Another 600 years, they were originally written in a biblical Aramaic. With all of the offense of this made up language. Remember now, the Peshitta, the standard Syriac, is a dialect of Aramaic. It is not Aramaic, it is separate. It's different. Mainly a part of the Persian Empire. Because the original Bible, guess why it's written in Aramaic? Guess who created the first church of St. Peter, who was translated in the 21st century as from England, from English. So St. Peter is the right hand of Jesus Christ. Understand, Jesus Christ is Kaddish Ifo, the Holy Isho, or Holy Father Isho. Isho is Jesus Christ. His real name is Isho. And his right hand man, the crown jewel of Christianity, is St. Peter, but St. Peter is Kaddish Kefa, or Kefa, the precious jewel, good stone of Christianity. Because Jesus Christ, known today, aka our Holy Father Isho, and St. Peter, who is renowned today, aka Kaddish Kefa, they wrote their written language and their spoken language is Aramaic. That's why it's called the translation of the Bible, because the Bible is written, the original written work of the biblical text is in Aramaic, because he's Palestinian. Jesus Christ known today, his real name is Isha. And he's a prophet in the Quran as Isa. Because in Arabic, the name Isha, Aramaic is the language, our holy language. That's why everyone else feels lost. Because we're reading and speaking in English. So if you ever wanted to feel closer to the Holy Father, Isha, aka Jesus, you need to learn and speak Aramaic. Because the original entire biblical text is written in Aramaic. Jesus Christ and St. Peter were both Palestinians that wrote and spoke Aramaic. And this is why everyone else is lost in translation. I need people to understand that the Dead Sea Scrolls are fake. They are non-biblical texts. They were discovered in 1950s after Zionism was created, after the Jewish supremacist Zionist ideology was created. Here's the timeline. Yes, the name Jesus has deep roots in Aramaic because this is his written and spoken language. His original Aramaic name is Isha. With all of the offense, this doesn't exist. Hebrew doesn't exist. It's made up. Because the original biblical texts are all in Aramaic. Even 600 years, or 2,600 years ago. The Greek translation was Kion. Greek people of Greece. It's Kion. In Aramaic. Remember, they had to translate the Aramaic Bible into Greek. The translators called it Iosis. And the English evolution, the Greek word or Kion word of Iosis eventually became the Latin Iosus, which translated into English Jesus. Jesus was called Isha in Aramaic, not Yeshua or Hebrew, in his everyday life. If you Google what was Jesus' real name, you'll get a lot of misinformation. Most of the results will say it was Yeshua. For starters, Jesus did not speak Hebrew, he spoke Aramaic. Because the Bible is written and spoken in Aramaic. Our Holy Father is Isha. This person was talking about how they speak a little Neo-Aramaic or Syriac, but understand that Syriac is a separate dialect from Aramaic. Aramaic is, if you want to be closer to our Holy Father, Jesus Christ, aka Holy Father, Isha, or aka Kaddish Efa, then you need to learn and speak Aramaic. It says, this person who understands Aramaic, who speaks a little bit of it, and bless their heart, that's pronounced Isho or Isho. Here's the total group of Christianities around the world. Christianity is the largest religion with an estimated 2.3 to 2.6 billion followers globally. This means Christians represent 29% to 32% of the entire world's population, and they are all lost in translation. It was about globally I already went over this before, but we'll just say it again. Just kind of demographic estimates of three major branches, the three pillars of Christianity. It's about 1.3 billion Roman Catholic followers, Protestant followers 800 to 900 million, and then the Orthodoxy about 280 million. Globally, the geographical distribution of Christianity is shifting. While it remains the dominant religion in the Americas, Europe, Africa has now become and has become the largest Christian population of any continent, largely driven by younger population and higher birth rates. The top countries with the largest Christian populations include the United States. As a nation, has over 230 million Christian followers. Brazil comes in second, 185 million Christian followers. Third is Mexico, over 120 million Christian followers. Russia is fourth with 105 million followers. Deeply saddened that Russia soldiers are fighting against their Slavic brothers in the middle of a giant war against Ukraine. Both sides continue to flounder and succumb to such a depraved position of conflict. And then in fifth place, we have the Philippines, over 90 million Christian followers. And then that's pretty much about it. So hopefully this will help people. And I'll bring it full circle before I end this video. If you're in a coffee shop and somebody calls out the wrong name for your order of coffee, you're not going to respond to them because it's not you. So 32% of our Christian sisters and brothers are all lost in translation. Trying to yearn for the love of the Holy Father. And you may feel like something is amiss. So imagine yourself trying to reach out for guidance to the saints. And they can't hear you because you're calling the wrong name. Thank you for your time, everybody.